Smoke appeared from the jet's left wingtip and fire and exhaust erupted as a missile streaked towards him. The Master Chief saw the missiles track back and forth, zeroing in on his coordinates. A shrill tone in his helmet warbled. The missile had a guidance lock on him. He chinned a control and the sound died out. The missile was fast. Faster than he was 10 times over. "Now," Cortana said. They moved together. He shifted his muscles and the Mjolnir, augmented by his link to Cortana, moved faster than he'd ever moved before. His leg tensed and pushed him aside. His left arm came up and crossed his chest. The head of the missile was the only thing he saw. The air grew still and thickened. He continued to move his hand, palm open in a slapping motion, as fast as he could will his flesh to accelerate. The tip of the Scorpion missile passed a centimetre from his head. He reached out. Fingertips brushed the metal casing and slapped it aside. The Skyhawk jet screamed over his head. The Scorpion missile detonated. Pressure slammed through his body. The Master Chief flew 6 meters, spinning end over end, and landed flat on his back. This is an excerpt from Chapter 27 of The Fall of Reach. It was the first time that the Master Chief put on Mjolnir Mark V powered assault armor, and then immediately embarked on a testing mission that had been orchestrated by Colonel James Ackerson to betray the Master Chief and attempt to kill him. ODSTs were armed with live ammunition as opposed to training rounds. There were active minefields and chain gun turrets, and the test concluded with a strafing run from a Skyhawk. I bring this excerpt up because today I want to focus in on a particular feat that Master Chief demonstrated here. I've made similar videos where I've looked at other feats of strength that the Master Chief has demonstrated. For example, the most recent one was the punches that he threw at Atriox and the force that he would have been able to apply during those strikes. But today we're not looking at force. Today we're looking at raw speed. And this is a canonical example of a Spartan moving faster than any human has ever moved in all of history. And today we're going to find out just how fast. Roll the intro. Hey everyone, welcome back to Installation 00, and today we're looking at an incredible feat of speed that was demonstrated by the Master Chief in his Mjolnir Mark V powered assault armor immediately after putting the suit on for the first time. But that also demonstrates that the combination of Mjolnir powered assault armor, Spartan super soldier, and smart AI are a mixture so potent and so lethal it's difficult to even comprehend. So we're going to get a broad overlook of the entire scenario, the situation that is presented before us. We're going to dive into some real-world analogues of the equipment used in this particular scene, and then come to some final calculations and conclusions based on Mjolnir powered assault armor and the output of the Master Chief. So first things first, the Master Chief was attacked by the Skyhawk, which is a supersonic vertical takeoff and landing capable jump jet craft, very similar to the Sparrowhawk, but with some notable differences. The craft is capable of immensely impressive turns at high speeds and comes with an armed complement of 4 50mm cannons that flank the cockpit, as well as 2 fully customizable weapon pylons, which can carry an array of different munitions, but in this particular case was carrying the Scorpion anti-tank missiles. These are immensely impressive air-to-surface missiles, and they are equipped with motion tracking systems and proximity detonators, and can attain very high cruising speeds and are deadly accurate thanks to their advanced guidance systems. In order to truly understand the feat of speed that the Chief demonstrates here, we need to understand some of the properties of this missile. Unfortunately, aside from what I've just highlighted on the Scorpion missile, we have no further lore on the specifics of this ordnance. However, there are real-world analogues that we can call upon for some ballpark figures to get a good feel for exactly what we're dealing with here. In both form and function, the Scorpion missile bears a striking resemblance to the AGM-114 Hellfire missile, which was first developed for anti-armor use and later developed for precision drone strikes against other target types, especially high-value targets. It was originally developed by Lockheed Martin in 1974 under the name Heliborne Laser Fire and Forget Missile. Most variants of this weapon are laser guided, but there are some that are radar guided. In the 1990s, the Hellfire 2 missile was developed, which arguably bears an even closer resemblance to the Scorpion missile, specifically the variant the Hellfire 2 AGM-114K Heat, otherwise known as the Active Guided Munitions High Explosive Anti-Tank. This variant was equipped with a millimeter wave or MMW active radar homing and required no further guidance after launch, even being able to lock onto its target after launch and can hit its target without the launcher or other friendly units being in line of sight of the target. It also works in adverse weather conditions and battlefield obscurance such as smoke or fog, which can mask the position of a target or prevent a designating laser from forming a detectable reflection. Each Hellfire weighs about 47 kilograms or 104 pounds, including the 9 kilogram or 20 pound high explosive shaped charge, and measures 1.6 meters or 64 inches in length and has a range of between 7.1 and 11 kilometers or 4.4 to 6.8 miles depending on the trajectory, and can achieve an impressive speed of Mach 1.3 or 995 miles per hour or 1,601 kilometers per hour. Now, this missile was specifically chosen 1 because it is an air-to-surface missile, 2 because it is a shaped charge, 3 because it is a high-explosive anti-tank missile, 4 because of its guidance and target locking systems, and 5, the Hellfire 2, at least aesthetically speaking, bears the closest resemblance to the Scorpion missile as outlined in the Fall of Reach graphic novel. So assuming that the Scorpion missile was inspired at least loosely by similar missiles, it's reasonable to expect relatively similar specifications. So, assuming that the Scorpion missile is relatively close to the specifications of the Hellfire 2, we can use these to ascertain a few things. First things first, had this missile have actually hit the Master Chief as intended, there is no question. Master Chief would have died, right then and right there. The high explosive shaped charge is capable of ripping through heavy tank armor with ease. The detonation of the shaped charge basically renders a ceramic or metal cone into a white-hot metal penetrator, and this can breach up to half a meter of modern tank armor. So had the Scorpion missile actually have struck home, the high explosive shaped charge would have torn through Master Chief's shields and armor like they were tissue paper, and completely eviscerated what was inside. In addition to this, the very fact that it was a precision anti-tank missile with a shaped charge was actually likely the very thing that saved his life. Shaped charges detonate in a very specific manner. The force of the explosion is directed almost entirely forward, relying upon the kinetic energy of the shaped charge jet for their penetration performance. This means getting clear from the explosive corridor, the narrow region in front of the missile where the majority of explosive force would be directed, was life-saving. And as for surviving the blast effects of the missile, as we covered in a relatively recent video, Spartans in their armor should be able to survive all but a direct hit from high explosives. I've linked that particular video above, in the description, and in the pinned comment should you wish to learn more. And finally, Master Chief was wearing Mjolnir Mark V powered assault armor, which possesses 2 inches of titanium armor, extremely resilient reverse-engineered energy shields, and grants the wearer 2 times their unarmored strength and 5 times their unarmored reaction time. And with all this, we can finally calculate just how fast Chief had to move to avoid being killed by this missile. Now, as highlighted in the excerpt at the start of this video, the Master Chief simply moved his body clear of the missile coming in. The missile seemed to be aiming at center of mass, basically the Chief's chest. And in those final instants, the Chief basically managed to drop slightly and then move his body and head clear of the path of the missile, while also lifting his arm up to around chest level and then swatting the missile aside, creating just enough distance between him and the missile so that when it did explode, it didn't kill him. But knowing how fast he'd have to move in order to do that can only be calculated when we find out how fast the missile was travelling. Now again, based on the parameters of the Hellfire 2 if it was travelling somewhere near the same kind of velocity, around Mach 1.3 or around 1,601 kilometers per hour. We can convert that to meters per second to give us a better idea of the passage of time. This is all happening in split seconds after all. And that conversion means that the missile was flying at 444.7 meters per second. There is arguably just a 2-meter window where the missile would be close enough to Chief's body in order for him to actually reach out and touch it. Master Chief is, after all, a 7-foot-tall Spartan and has significantly larger reach than the average human, so we're allowing for a meter ahead of him and a meter behind him as the direct moment of interface. To perform the motion described in the excerpt at the start of this video, a normal human would take approximately 0.35 of a second to perform that series of motions. Chief already has an augmentation to boost his reaction time by 300%. Mjolnir Mark V boosts reaction time still further by a factor of 5, making him 15 times faster than a normal human being. Accounting for this immense speed of the missile coming in and the very small window of interface between the missile and the Master Chief, the optimization that Cortana provided the Master Chief in these moments allowed him to move in 0.0044 of a second. 4 1,000ths of a second. The only way that a reaction of this speed was possible was because of Cortana's optimizations. Cortana is a smart AI, and thus she processes information in her Riemann matrix, an optical crystalline substrate, at basically the speed of light. She would have been waiting for the Chief to create the very neural impulses for that motion, and since she was directly interfacing with his brain, she would have been able to immediately send the signals to the suit at the instance of her detection of them. And since Mjolnir's circuits also carry the signal at the speed of light, really the limitation in how fast the Chief could respond to this situation was limited only by his own physiology. And at 4 1,000ths of a second, Chief managed this feat 79.5 times faster than a normal human, and 22 times faster than any other Spartan in history, Kelly included. It is cited in this instance that from John's perspective the air grew still and thickened. This is an extreme form of Spartan time, where the reaction time that Chief was experiencing was so fast that time itself around him from his perspective slowed down. Based on the speed of his reaction time here, time from Chief's perspective was passing 227 times slower than normal. In this moment, Chief was moving nearly 80 times faster than a normal human and 22 times faster than any other Spartan, and experienced a time dilation effect known as Spartan time so pronounced that if you actually plotted it on a time dilation curve, Chief's impulse to motion response from an outsider's perspective would have happened at nearly 95% the speed of light. Of course, in practice that didn't happen, but it still doesn't detract from just how impressive of a feat that truly was. And until next time. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, consider smashing the like button and leave a comment below on what you'd like me to cover next. Big shout out to my patrons Spartan 10148, the Metarch of my installation, Falcon, Prophet Bear, Mikhail, Sophia, and Ashley, my dutiful monitors. Darian, Scarab, Spartan 0137, Anthony, Ghost, Aaron, Chris, Jacob, Sean, Element Zero, Somatic, Jordan J3, Dan, Mr. Keys, Directal, Gunslinger, Jacob, Bandmill, Echo, Evermore, Officer Cat, and Personal Devil, my diligent sub-monitors, my fleet of Strato Sentinels, and my loyal enforcers. And all the other patrons who have jumped aboard to support the channel. It means more to me than I can accurately put into words. Another shout out to my Tier 0 Transcendent YouTube members, Spartan 137, Jacob, Schmitty, Talia, Fenrir and Born Stellar, and all the other YouTube members keeping my installation running on that glorious vacuum energy. Shout out to John for I don't fucking know. And if you want more of this kind of content, hit the subscribe button and the little bell icon so you don't miss any future videos, and consider jumping aboard yourself as a patron or YouTube member to keep the channel alive and kicking. Thanks again for watching. Take it easy everyone, and find peace in the domain.